This episode is sponsored by Zenro Clothing Co. Pick up your tees and or accessories at zenroclothingco.com and be sure to use offer code Socrates at checkout for 20% off select items. Also, if you're not into spending the money, just check out the Zenrail radio playlist. zenrailclothingco.com, music for your everyday. This episode also sponsored by The Pornian Bakery. If you're located in the Pornian area of Scarborough, Toronto, be sure to check out The Pornian Bakery, say what's up to Urvil, and pick up a donut or two. Baked daily, crafted with love. This episode also sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the podcasting platform of choice. It's the one that me and Vish use, and is great, you know, if you're looking to start that DIY podcast yourself. Definitely check out Podbean. Use the link podbean.com/SocraticGamers and gain 1 month of unlimited podcasting for free. Test it out, build that content. Anyone can podcast, right, Vish?
Yep.
Start a podcast and get your ideas out there. All right, enjoy the episode. Okay, so typically we do these podcasts on the weekend, but because we just saw Avatar like 2 days ago and our memory's kind of fading over it, we both thought it would just be better if we just did it during the week. Plus it's like Christmas this weekend, so it might be a little difficult to actually do the podcast. But before we get into the movie, I remember, okay, we actually started this podcast earlier, but I think it was barking, so now we're doing it take two. But I remember what the two things I wanted to talk about were. So before I get into the male-dominated industry, the Witcher Netflix series actually looks really, really good. I don't know if you saw the trailer yet. I
saw that clip, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Like, so everyone was talking trash about it because of the initial appearance of like what the costumes look like, and I was like, oh, it looks kind of corny too.
Was it the appearance?
But then actually,
was it for the appearance,
just like,
or was it like the story issues?
No, well, I think it was
not like legitimate to the actual books or something.
Okay. I think like what I was seeing, just like it just looked like trash because like it didn't look very good. You know, the costume design. That was my initial impression of it, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be like a Cowboy Bebop kind of thing. And actually watching the snippet, I was like, oh, this is actually really, really cool. Like the way they're doing the martial arts and stuff like that. I didn't get the sense of Cowboy Bebop for this one, so I think it's actually going to be a really good like movie. Yeah,
it's a show. It's a show, right? Isn't it a series?
Oh, show. Yeah, whatever. Like just dropped December 20th.
No, I'll give it a try. It's in the Witcher world, right? So I don't know. I never read the books, so it's like,
yeah.
Like I don't.
Yeah, you're saying.
That's just like one clip of it, right? It's from like, will the actions may be cool, but like will the story keep me like attached to the characters?
Sure, fair.
Yeah.
Fair. But the acting of it,
it's like
for Cowboy Bebop.
I just want to add, like, because it was for like the Lord of the Rings show. A lot of the people that read the books seemed like they didn't like it because it didn't follow the books or something. But a lot of the people that didn't read the book, it worked for them.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Like I didn't read the books, but I liked that show a lot. So.
Right. You're judging it as the show. Mm-hmm. But with Cowboy Bebop, when I first saw the trailer, I think we were both kind of like, it feels kind of odd. Like you can tell from a trailer, like if it's going to be good or not, you know? Like, not, all right, obviously you can't tell fully because the story's not there, but like the initial impression, I felt like seeing Cowboy Bebop seemed a little corny with the trailer, and I was going back and forth with Ray about that. Like he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna give it a chance because I like Cowboy Bebop," but I'm like, "But it looks so corny, so I don't know if it'll like pan out." And it ended up being really corny. But this trailer, it looked like, okay, it seems like you at least have your dialogue going. The action's definitely there, so like I'm more hopeful for this one than Cowboy Bebop.
Right.
I just want to put that out there because I just saw the trailer. Okay, so the other thing I was bringing up before that is how we live in a very male-dominated industry or like world, right? Like we live in like a patriarchy, not a matriarchy, right? Men rule the world essentially. Yep. If you look at people who are in government, it's always like men, right? And mostly men, all
most, yeah.
But with that, the way men kind of go about with their energy is very aggressive. Like we are trying to egoically uh like one up the other person.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a battle. Every conversation, like obviously this well, sometimes we do argue, but it's not it's like, do you know what I mean? It's like very aggressive. The way you're doing it. It's like you're very like sharp.
Yep.
You want to project your like masculinity, all that stuff. um it's like like I was saying before, it's like a dick swing contest. You're just like, look how ape like I am, right? But like females are very gentle in their approach. They're very um like calm, take their time. They're like very thoughtful, emotional. And I was thinking about this because I won't exactly go into the specifics of the scenario, but I noticed that the energy, like I was having a conversation with a few people, and the man was like dominating the conversation, but like not in like an aggressive way, not like outwardly aggressive, not like, oh, be quiet, I'm not gonna talk to you, but it's just like the bravado, like just the energy, right? And then outside of that meeting or like that conversation, that like interaction, the the females, when I speak to them like individually, like when I know them, they're more outspoken, but in this scenario they were very like submissive, right, to the male, right? And I was this is what you have to go through on a daily basis. Even though
Wait,
when
I
you feel
missed that line.
comfortable.
Sorry. What would you say?
Oh, sorry. Oh, did I cut out?
Yeah.
Oh no, is the internet bad?
It just became like robotic. I didn't hear that line you just said.
Okay, so in a male-dominated industry, you often like outside of the interaction that I was having, I know these females in a different light. And in that different light, they're more outspoken. They're more like they're like not submissive, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, okay, I'm confident in what I'm saying. But then I noticed in this like situation, they were being extremely submissive. And I was like, oh, it's because you have a very dominating male person at the table, right? But I'm used to that, right? Because one, being a male, but two, like martial arts, you kind of have to build that bravado in order to, no, it's not like a direct bravado, like I'm not being rude, but the energy you put out is like confidence. Like I know what I know, so I'm just going to tell you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they couldn't be like that, even though I knew that they were like, they knew what they knew.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, like after that conversation, they have to deal with that on a daily basis, where it's like the general assumption is that, oh, I'm a female, you won't take my opinion seriously, I have to work really hard to stand out, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then I noticed that some other females will almost overcompensate. They'll be rude in order to have a seat at the table.
Yeah. Right.
Right, you know what I'm saying? But I always heard about that as like a theory. But then seeing that in person, I was like, oh, this really is something you have to deal with. You know? And it was like, it sucks because you're like, we're not in a world of like meritocracy. It's still who has the biggest dick at the table,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was thinking about that a lot. Post that conversation, which actually just happened. So now I'm bringing into this
Right.
podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, what do you think? Like, have you seen that? Have you experienced that?
Well, I'm in the engineering world, so it's all males. Majority are males, I would say. Right.
But like, there's no females.
Well, I don't work with any females, right?
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Well, I don't.
Or like,
but there are in other departments there are.
Yeah, and it's
But I think
interesting.
I don't know if
like,
I'm not saying that there isn't there. That probably is there. That's also probably also like just like a hierarchy kind of thing is also there.
No, but right, for sure. No. But see, the thing is, even though the hierarchy was there, it didn't it didn't affect my interaction because I was like, I like do jujitsu a lot. So for me, like you're not gonna beat me up. We're just talking about ideas here.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have no physical fear of you. You know
Yeah.
what I'm
So
saying?
I maybe that's your individual thing, right? I don't know how other guys are.
Males feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair. Okay. So that's a great point. So I was asking Tara about this, like why do like what like I was just reflecting with her about how females are in a less like in a more submissive position within the general societal framework, right? And then she was saying to me that one thing that I give off is a lot of gentle energy, right? And I know when she said that, I was like, oh yeah, everyone I interact with, like 90% of my interactions are with females,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But that is because I give off a very gentle, like I'm not going to hurt you, right? But then I was saying to her that that's only because I'm so confident in my physical ability that I'm okay with being gentle. You know what I mean? Like if, because you see that like male's posture, right? Like, oh, you took my parking space. Oh, I'm gonna like fight you, and then like it's like a war of egos with males, right? But oftentimes that's because they've never actually had a physical altercation.
Mm-hmm.
So they think in their heads it's something way different than what it is, right? But if you practice combat on a like almost daily basis, you're like, oh, this is nothing new for me. So I don't need to puff out my chest, you know?
But yeah,
It's
right.
almost it's
Mm-hmm.
almost like by crafting a very strong ability to harm others, you can pull back the throttle and just be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like, oh, if I'm nice, I'm not going to be taken advantage of because I know how to like defend myself, like intellectually as well as physically.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that was interesting that it's like, in order to be soft, you have to learn how to be really, really hard. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just an interesting reflection. Wait, like what do you
No, that
think?
just like I think the last line is kind of like it reminds me where I don't know where I heard it where it's like for peace you need to have power.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah. Prepare for war, right?
Mm-hmm. No,
Yeah.
or like a country's strength, like having the nuclear missiles
No, no, yeah.
is
No,
means
exactly. Yeah,
that I
yeah.
can control peace.
Yeah. Is it the biggest stick always wins,
Yeah.
right? It's like I don't care. You actually, maybe this is like an ingrained thing in me. Remember we were talking like last podcast about how you grew up,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
growing up, my my dad was like a very like violent person. Not to me, but like just in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he got into a lot of scraps, and in my head it was like, okay, that's just what we do. Like that's like you have to hold your own against other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that I actually never got bullied in high school, even though I was smaller and
Right.
like fatter
Mm-hmm.
and like was an artsy kid, you know. And there were attempts to like bully, but it was always met with like, okay, let's go. Even though I didn't know how to fight, but in
Yeah,
my
yeah,
head it was just like the energy of, okay, let's go,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
you know. And I think that, like you said, it's like you need the biggest, like you need to be militantly ready in order to keep the peace. Like I almost feel like that's our monkey nature, and I don't know. It's such a I don't like to use the word like low vibration, but it's like a very animalistic way of doing things, you know?
Yeah, we're all animals, right? We have those.
I know that, but that's why it's an interesting point. It's like, yeah, we're animals, and why does faking bravado really work?
Mhm.
And why do we even need to do that, you know? But I like to circle back on the beginning part, it's like females don't really do that. They don't know how to do that.
No, but that's not in their nature, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I feel bad because it's like I know how brilliant you
So
are.
so yeah. So that's the thing. I think it's like you're in a world, like a male dominated world, right? We've created in that sense.
Yeah.
They are entering into a male dominated world, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to be more like males to get up ahead.
Right. Yeah.
Which is, I think that's the issue, right? Where they're being out of their norm. Where it should be
Right.
it should be like leveling off in the sense of adding more like matriarchal things to level off,
Yeah.
so where we both meet in the center.
And I think that's where our society's headed now. Like with the whole inclusivity thing and like diversity, equity, inclusion. These are all like female energy things. They're like communal,
Right.
you know, whereas male energy is very like dominating, individualistic. Yeah. I don't know, it just really made me think like I feel bad. I feel bad for these people because it's like, bro, you got to deal with that. You actually have to deal with that.
Yeah.
But I've never seen it, and then seeing it firsthand, really changed my perspective. Yeah. Anyways, just wanted to throw that out there. So if you're listening to this, be kind to females. Or
Just be kind in general. Yeah.
Yeah, but the only way to be kind is to learn how to be so hard. I think at least you can be kind, but what happens if somebody? I don't know. Like
I think that's why that's why it's in the U.S. It's having a gun is the level playing field.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, totally. Yeah. But we don't have guns here. So.
Yeah.
But that's probably why they resort to it. Like I won't.
That's a lot of the conservative side's viewpoints, right?
Why we should have a gun?
Yeah.
So okay, that's actually all right. Before we get into Avatar, I just want to quickly, because we're like going to run out of time. We don't have too much time for this podcast. But when I was younger, we both had the same friend. But one time I was talking to him about, it was either a knife or a gun. And he was like, I need this. And I was like, why do you need that? And he was like, if you look at me, I'm like a small Asian kid. If it's like 6 big white dudes, what am I going to do? I need this to level the playing field. And I was like, I guess that kind of always stuck with me. It's like, oh yeah, you really do need an equalizer, and guns and knives are the equalizer. Yeah. That's such a weird thing to say, like living in different, like the way other people live. I'm sure if you heard this right now, me saying like gun and knife, you're like, whoa, what gun and knife?
Yeah.
But it's like so normalized. It's like, yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, Scarborough things. So anyways, let's get into Avatar. We were totally at odds in this one, and I just need you to sell me on this one. Because I'm so curious why you loved it, and I just was not a fan of it. How should we begin? Should we talk about like what you liked, what you didn't like? Sure. Your impression, my impression.
Yeah. I think our impressions, because everyone can have it is after all, artistic endeavors are always subjective. Yeah,
I'm just curious as to why you really liked it. I was like, I couldn't figure it out. But okay, so do you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
So, how do I think it's because I cared for the characters. The way that he actually convinced me to care for the characters is why I liked it. It was more of a family drama to me than it was necessarily just about action.
Okay.
And that's what made me, because I think the main thing is if you didn't make me care for the characters, then I wouldn't have liked this movie. And because it made me
Okay.
because he made me care for the characters that had their lives at risk at certain times, that the first movie did not make me cry as much. Only time that I cried was when the tree fell. This one made me cry a couple of times. Yes.
No.
Yes.
This one made you cry.
That's right. That's why I had to put it up on a high bar. Yeah.
Or when did you cry, bro? What?
Yeah.
Okay, well, when did you cry?
I can't, I'm already forgetting like all the parts, but of course where the son dies. Like that's one of the main ones.
I knew it's all right. Okay. Totally. But I knew that was gonna happen. Like,
it's not about knowing that it was going to happen. I think is how it happened
execution?
Is the execution of how it happened. Yeah, and it's like you have to, how are you, like how I'm relating to it is a lot of it's like they're moving into a new place, so it's like an immigrant story, like learning to live with the new tribe. Right, the kids didn't have a choice in this; it was the parents who made that choice. Right, and having to deal with that, and then the older brother has to be the one to protect, and that's how he was raised. And then secondly, the younger brother was always getting in trouble, feeling like he was the outcast. He'll never be liked by his dad, and like especially when it had to close off. Like they used that word, like the "I see you" wasn't used at all throughout the movie a lot to emphasize the actual meaning of it when he actually said it to his son.
Okay.
So that's another part that got me.
Okay, so when you said story, because like when we were like leaving, you're like, "Oh, I love the story." I was like, "But the story was trash." It was just like the main story was they cloned the Kill Squad, and then they made avatars.
Yeah,
which I like. Your brother brought this up in the car ride home. I thought it was so funny that it dealt with what we were talking about. Like, is it still you?
Actually, no, that's what I first thought. Right when I saw that, I was like, "Wait, we just talked about this."
I know. Yeah, that's really weird. That's really weird.
It's really weird.
Yeah, but okay, so they created clones, and then that Kill Squad was just trying to kill Sully the entire time. That's literally.
So the reason they went after Sully was for the treason aspect, and then I think when he actually saw himself being murdered.
Okay.
That's when he started to actually go after them as to the reason.
Right. Okay.
And I like that. And I like that every time there was a like scene, like when he saw the arrow, especially from, I think Neytiri is her name. There was it's
Saldana's character.
Yeah. Knowing that this is the person that killed me, but also it's like this person could kill me again. Even though again meaning it's not really again, but like.
Right. Okay. I'm going to lump that in with the world because that's really an interaction piece. Like no, how they were.
But that was all part of the story, like connecting these. Like that's why I liked it because they keep connecting it back. Like I mean, I'm talking about the arrow scene or them like it's finding out what happened to him. His human person, because he didn't know that he had died yet, right? The only reason that...
Yeah.
And seeing himself die. And seeing that interaction and how that goes forward for him.
Right. But that's like an that's not... I wouldn't say that's the story because that is more of the execution of the story. That's like, okay, this is the world we live in. You know
but I think that's part of the story that's what I'm saying. It was a part of the story that added to why he had more of a reason to go after him.
Yeah, but those are all subtle nuances that weren't actually. Yeah,
so these are the things stated. Right. But these are the things that I saw. These are the things that I picked up on. This is the reason that I I don't know what, like this is the reason I got into it a lot.
Right. But what I'm saying is I don't think that that's the story because it's like. That is the story. That's a part of the story. That's the execution of the story. Mm-hmm. But I think the actual story is just like what happened, and that's the premise of like they were just hunting Jake Sully.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
and it wasn't like the movie wasn't the Jake and Zoe Saldana's characters weren't even really up in the upfront, right? It was always about the kids.
Yeah, it was a kids'
movie. Yeah.
Right. But so
And
like
like
that whole
I will say like
yeah.
in the beginning part where they were just showing the forest, I that felt very familiar to the first one, but I think if it was only the forest, I think I would not have liked, because that part was like, okay, you're just retelling what was like before, right? Well, like in the
Yeah.
first movie, right? I think if they only stayed in the forest, it would have been too boring.
Right. Right. It but see again, all those things go back to the world because it's like you're showing a different aspect of the world.
Oh, that's what I'm
Like
saying.
you're
It's
like
it's the family drama. That's the reason. Like that's part of it, right? There's the story of each character. Again, it's like the son doing the duty, or the eldest son doing his duty and getting killed in the process. The youngest son, or not the youngest son, yeah, the youngest son being the outcast, eventually finally being seen by his dad. Like each of these
but
characters
right.
had something, and then like the adopted
But these are
daughter.
all interactions though. These are all like interactions within like if you look at, all right, let's look at the first Avatar. It was about like what was the movie about? It was about this tribe was there and they wanted the resources, so they're
Hmm.
trying to kick out the tribe.
Hmm.
But then if we go like, yeah, but look at the interaction of how like look at the way Jake was able to run again, and that's why he loses Avatar body. It's like that that's like an execute, like I wouldn't say that's what I would tell someone the story is. You know what I'm saying? It's like it those are nuances to how he executed the story, but I wouldn't say that that was the story itself. Do you know what I'm saying?
I get what you're trying to say. But I feel like that was, for me, that was where that's why I like the whole aspect of it.
Right.
I include that part
And
of that story.
right. But when I'm saying that I feel like you liked the world more than the actual story, that's what I meant. Because it's like those I would lump all into the world. It's like, oh, but look at the way, they all had whales that they could interact with. But that's not part of the story. That's just like their interaction.
Hmm.
That's the world that they built. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think I was like, for me, it felt like the world itself is something I've seen before through video games. It's like Final Fantasy VII. You play as this ragtag bunch of people who's trying to stop this giant corporation from abusing the planet, right? And then within that, girl dies,
Hmm.
right? Who's part of your party? But I'm not like that's an unfolding of the story, but the actual story itself is they're just like going after, like trying to stop planet resources.
Yeah.
Right. And planet resource extraction in Final Fantasy VII. But for me, the thing that got me for Final Fantasy VII was the world.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, to me, a story is like a twist or something.
Yeah.
You like Bullet Train.
Yeah.
Oh, it turns out that the girl in the movie is actually the daughter of the guy, and you're
Hmm.
like, oh snap, that sounds cool. Or like the menu, he invite all these people to kill them. You're like, oh, that's cool. It's a cool twist. But in this, there was like zero twists. Even what they could have done it with the kid, Spider, like, but they just answered it right, like, oh, it's it's the son of the guy who's trying to hunt you.
Yeah. I don't think they were trying to be anything, do any twists or anything like
Like
that.
shocking.
I did not expect the son to die though. I was like, oh, they're gonna get some tree sap and like save him or
Yeah,
something.
because we just mentioned two sons. It's
Sorry. Yeah.
Jake Sully's son.
Jake's son.
Yeah. Like, yeah, sure, totally. But I don't know. It felt
I feel
for me.
like by the end of it, I was like, he's building. I want to see what the third movie is now.
Okay.
That's how I felt going, like leaving. I was like, okay, I need to see the third movie.
Wow. I was like,
Yeah.
I could pass on this.
No.
Like, but but like, no, but it's like,
Yeah.
it's like Disney. It's like, that's a really cool, like, I'm trying to give, oh, I got it. Guy Ritchie's movies,
Hmm.
you know, so you didn't like that movie, The Gentleman.
Right.
You didn't like it. I loved it, right? But I love that world. It's like, oh, drug dealers and like, but that was not the story that I liked. I liked the world of that. Like I wanted to be in that more.
Right.
Or Tenet, right? You weren't as big of a fan of Tenet as I was. The story was good, but I also love the world. I wanted to just be in that world more.
Right.
You know? And I feel like it wasn't worth the 12-year.
I think like the story is simple, like the first one, but I felt it was more. I like this story better than the first one.
No, for sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, hold on. Wait, I said that too quick. Let me think about it.
That's how I felt like leaving, and I'm like,
no, I like the first one better.
Yeah, I
the
like
story of the first one.
I like this one better than the first one because I think I rewatched the first one in the movies too, like a few months ago. Fell asleep.
Yeah, it was. Well, I mean, the world that they built was unfinished. It was cool. It was very cool.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as enthralling as this world. Like this world was like a living world. It was like Dune.
Yeah.
Remember how when we were discussing Dune, it was like we were thrust in the middle. We had to catch up. We were like, wait, what are these things?
Yeah.
And we kept saying that, like, but it was cool in that way because we were like,
I had a different view for I had a different view from Dune because I seen the original, so I kind of knew.
Oh, okay, fair.
A lot of the stuff.
Yeah. So I had no idea about any of this. So I was trying to catch up during the movie, but it was cool because it was like catch up or get lost. You know, this is the world we built.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think because the story has to be simple for such an expansive world, right? I think that's what James Cameron hit on. It had to hit that.
I feel like for for everything, right? Like Dune was just resource extraction too.
Right.
It was just like, but it was the world that got me. And for you, loved like this world that they've created, which it was like fantastic. I don't think it was worth the 12-year wait. Like the hype for the 12 years.
No, I think it was. I think it was
for you because you liked the world, right? But like where you could have taken this, or like, well, he did take it pretty far, but it almost felt like we've been here before. You know,
I didn't. I that's what I was wondering. Like, how is he? I think it's because there was enough differences to be able to bring me back into the world.
But remember how he was like, oh, we were waiting for the technology to catch up. It's like, what do you could have really just like pulled the story off before, like the face capture. I don't know what you were waiting for. The water is like, okay, but wasn't.
Well,
wasn't like there's nothing that like not like the first one. Am I chopping?
Yeah, you're chopping a bit, but like, what do you mean by? You're just saying technology?
Yeah. Because remember, you said like we were waiting for technology to catch up in order for us to, like film this. But it was like, what was so grand about it? Wasn't like the first one where it was
I think
like
it was probably for
3D.
I don't know what it was for, but I probably was like for filming underwater and things like that.
But all right, for sure. But you could have suffered. Like the graphics weren't so amazing that it was mind blowing. You could have done this way earlier. You know, like even if it suffered graphic wise, it's like, okay, it wasn't an easy leap. It wasn't the first one where from the theaters, the 3D aspect was like depth 3D. So you're like, oh, this is a completely revolutionary way to do this. You know, there was nothing in this movie that made me feel like it was revolutionary. To you? Did you feel?
Maybe, yeah. No, I wouldn't say that. Maybe that's if it was that good, maybe we don't really notice what the revolutionary aspect was.
But I didn't think it was that good. That's my point. It was like it wasn't like I get what you're saying. Like you would have just not even noticed it because it was so good, right? Like it's so subtly good.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was good. Like I was like kind of off put. I was like, oh, this kind of looks weird.
No, I didn't feel that about the world.
But okay, so like what? So I'll just tell you what I thought was like. Oh, this before like the whale. I was like, okay, like graphics have got this far, like video games, you've seen like cutscenes
No, sure,
of,
yeah.
right? So it's like it's nothing new to me creatively. And I think that's why I was like, why did you wait 12 years? Why did you build the hype of we waited 12 years to like finally have the technology to make this? So it's like, okay, I'm expecting like a grand, like it's sort of like in what was that video game where every single blade of grass was moved? I was like,
was that the
you know what I'm talking about, right?
the samurai game? Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy because before you had like you couldn't be to that level of pixelation or like graphic rendering.
Mm-hmm.
See, like to me, that's like wow, you took it to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
But watching this, I didn't feel like you took it to the next level in anything.
Sure.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
like maybe like the facial stuff, but
no, I think that I didn't feel like that. I didn't feel like that necessarily about the technology. I think it's because
what do you mean? You were wowed by the technology?
No. I'm saying that we've been seeing so much of technology since Marvel, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
That it was about if it was all that they're waiting for was the water technology, sure. But it's not saying that I'm not saying that I'm wowed by the technology, but it got me into the world. Whatever sure. I saw got me hooked.
Right.
Yeah.
But you were hooked because of the interaction of the world. It wasn't like the graphics hooked you.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
No.
No, that's what I mean. So it's like, what were you overhyping the 12 years for? You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you look at PS5.
Well, they're just going to say that as I think the hype of 12 years is. I don't know when they even started. I think they started filming 5 years ago.
So that's what I mean. It's like this was overhyped. It's good. Like
I don't know what I mean by overhyped. I think that this was a really good movie. That's what I thought. I don't know about overhyped.
But overhyped because of the technology. I'm saying that you were stating that you waited for this technology to make this movie, right? So that's overhyping it because then that sets the bar of this is going to be an amazing technological marvel. But it was like, okay, like we've seen this in video games before. We've seen like what a crazy technological marvel is when they made Mark Hamill look young. I was like, oh, that's new. Or like that's like, oh, that's some new graphics.
Right.
But I don't feel like there was nothing in here that was like, well, this is some new graphics. Like deep fake. That's some crazy graphics.
Right.
Like you see the Morgan Freeman thing today?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
But right? But
that's why I'm interested to see now the behind the scenes. What was all the
like what
were they waiting?
But that's what I mean about overhype.
Yeah. Maybe it was maybe it's the face technology, who knows? I don't know. That we couldn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, but it's like it wasn't like Mark Hamill looking young was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like you saw it, you know? But if we didn't even notice it, then who cared? Who cares? You see my point?
Yeah, I don't think I don't think the necessarily selling point. I think that it was the world. It was the selling point.
No, right. That's what you liked about it.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is from a marketing, right. So you're defending it from your point of view, but what I'm saying is I'm like attacking it from a marketing perspective. Because you're like, what's the hype? It was a good movie. I'm like, you liked the good movie. But the hype was you promised us something. You overhyped this idea of like, I waited for technology for this. Like even to the lead up of this, we kept talking about like, oh, the water technology. So I was like, okay, cool. It's going to be like, I thought they were going to do some sort of like Kamehameha water blast or something, you know, something crazy where it's like, oh, that's a dope utilization of water. But you just used water as like a means to swim in. So I was like, okay.
No, well, when they were like flying like above it too, right? Like that was.
Yeah, but it wasn't like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like again, we've seen it in like.
No, I think that's because of how real the water was. You think it's just they filmed with actual water.
I didn't think that at all. I was like, oh, this is like obviously computer generated. They're using fake animals. It's like obvious.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that that you wouldn't notice. You can't differentiate the water being from CG and reality.
Right, but why would I care about that nuance? Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's not.
Because I
That's
know the
not. We were
dragon.
right. Right.
No, but to go back to the Mark Hamill, right? Like Luke Skywalker being young. If you don't know who Mark Hamill is, when you look at him, you're like, oh, that's crazy. But when you see this, it's like, okay, the water. Like it wasn't like this is crazy.
No. I get
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it was for their story that they needed that technology, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying that it didn't make or break it for me. Like, what would some meh CGI water graphics have done to the story? Nothing, right? Like if you
CGI.
yeah, but so you're saying that if the water graphics weren't that good, you wouldn't have liked the movie?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that
But
that
that's
they
my point.
waited
I'm
for the
saying,
water technology or water. They waited for the technology for water simulation.
For sure, right. But that's overhyping the cells. Like we've waited 12 years for this tech, so I'm like, okay, so you're gonna do something crazy with it. You didn't do anything crazy with it. It's like, what did I wait for? You know?
Sure.
Like if you did some crazy like water monster, like water Kamehameha, like utilize the water in a way that we've never seen water being utilized before. It's like, oh, that's novel, right? But nothing was novel in this. You know, we've seen underwater movies like like Namor, you know, for as a small example. That was all underwater too.
Yeah.
But we weren't like blown away by the way that they demonstrated underwater people in Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was just a part of it was just part of the execution.
Yeah. They filmed underwater, right? For that.
For Namor, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, this is just this is just the tech now. You know, but it wasn't like, I feel like if you say that you waited so long for the tech to get here, it's like you gotta come with something stronger than something I've seen in Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Agree? Disagree?
If that's what you got from the marketing, sure, yeah.
But you were selling it to me too, though. Before the movie, you're like, "Oh, the water technology."
Yeah, I was watching the Corridor Crew. Yeah,
exactly. So I was getting hyped, like, well, like what are they gonna bring? Is it gonna be something crazy? But it was like Black Panther 2, water.
No, I didn't feel like that. But I didn't think about the technology, right? That's what I'm saying. Like it became just natural that it wasn't about the technology.
So then that kind of like makes the whole statement of we waited so long for this technology to get here meaningless.
No, maybe they waited. Yeah, they couldn't do it. No, maybe they waited. Right. They couldn't film some of those things, or the water scenes wouldn't have worked out that way without the technology they had. Right.
Right. But so, okay, so then it was like, so that's what I mean about the hype. It's like you're just like, it's like what's a good example? Like, oh, I waited 12. Oh man, I don't have a good example. I waited so long for this coffee to boil.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, okay, so, you know what I mean? It's like,
right, yeah.
It didn't change my life of waiting for the coffee to boil. It's just like, you're just stating a fact. We waited 12 years for this.
Yeah.
Okay, so why'd you tell me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it was so like weak marketing then. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things I felt was like lacking in this movie. Like you could have released this movie like 2 years after the first one, 3 years maybe. You know, like it didn't need to be like, there was nothing there that made me think, oh yeah, I get why you.
No, maybe they needed to, that they couldn't do those scenes, those CG scenes of water without having to wait for this long, right?
But that goes to
so
my,
that's the point, right? I think they're just saying it like a fact.
They're stating a fact, yeah.
Yeah, they're stating a fact, yeah.
But if you're just stating a fact, it's like, why'd you use that in your marketing, bro? Mm-hmm. It's like yeah, tell me that after the fact, but don't use that as a selling point of like something to get excited about.
Mm-hmm.
They should have been like, let's return to Pandora. I'd be like, oh, cool, all right, we're just going back to Pandora. Right. Like to be like, we waited 12 years for this, is like, okay, So what?
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah. Okay. All right. Moving on from that, the the thing that I found off-putting for the whole movie, like, all right, I get your points of like the relationship story. You love like emotional drama attachment. I get that totally. Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, he did care for his kids, but there were a bunch of things that were really off-putting for me that I couldn't attach to the story. And one of them was the most, like, every stereotype about indigenous people was used in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like the New Zealand people, like why were his kids, well, all right, we'll go through each one. So my first one is, why were his kids Hawaiian? I didn't get that.
That's just how his world is like, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. So it's like, right, but the Na'vi represent indigenous people,
Sure.
right? And um the commercial people are the colonials
Mm-hmm.
in this setting, right? So in order to make them more indigenous, you just showed them as stereotypes for our reality. You know, it's like
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't even like, it wasn't even Hawaiian where it's like, oh yeah, you can kind of be Hawaiian. It's like you're using the stereotypes of Hawaiian people. Like when he's like, oh brah, you know. And I was like, what? Why are you saying like, he's like, that was insane, brah. And I was like, okay, like this is almost tokenization now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're like, you're you're trying to create an indigenous Black Panther movie by showing us all of our stereotypes. You know, it would almost be like if the director of Black Panther was white and all he showed was black people with baggy pants.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it felt to me. It's
Oh.
like you're just,
Okay.
what?
Yeah.
Right? You're just
Yeah.
like showing shit. Like, why did they all have dreads? Was that a thing? Like, Jake Sully never had dreads in the first movie.
Wasn't his
He's
hair
like a Rasta.
His hair was short, right, in the first movie?
Uh, he had hair. No, it wasn't like a buzz cut or anything. He had hair, like medium length hair. But why
Mm-hmm.
did he grow out dreadlocks?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what indigenous people have,
Right.
like Africans,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like there's another stereotype. Like, why are you hitting me with these stereotypes? Like, how'd you feel
Wait.
about that? Did you notice that?
No, I didn't pick him up as stereotypes. I pick him up as inspiration.
Or what do you mean?
So, like certain aspects of how the Maori, like the Maori people.
Okay,
like
wait,
adding
before we get into that one, let's stick with the Hawaiian, because I have some stuff about the Maori people too.
No, like he's getting he's taking, what do you call, inspiration from those. We know that from, like, they're all from human native places,
He's
right?
culturally appropriating for his Navi characters.
Sure, I wouldn't use the word appropriating.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like, all right, so what do you mean inspiration? It's like when Justin Bieber had dreadlocks. It's like, yeah, I get it. You like dreads, bro.
Yeah.
You love that culture. But let's not take away the fact that you're still white, Justin Bieber. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, yeah.
It's like,
But they're
like
Na'vi though, right? They weren't.
pass is what you're saying.
Huh?
So we can.
They weren't what?
That's a pass.
Yeah, because they were native. The people were native, right?
Right, but I'm saying he's utilizing the Na'vi as a means to demonstrate indigenous stereotypes.
Okay.
Right? Like those, like, why did you use, am I choppy?
Yeah, you're choppy there.
Oh man.
Oh, the
All right.
video was. I think your audio was fine.
Okay, cool. So why, wow, we really gotta figure out this internet thing, too bad. You think it's me or you?
I don't know.
Okay, hopefully it fixes
I don't.
itself.
Do I
All
ever look choppy to you?
No. So maybe it's me. Maybe I need to wire my thing.
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll look into a wire for future. Damn, that sucks. Okay, so to get back to it, it's like, so because they were Na'vi, it's okay to hide indigenous stereotypes through them.
Well, it's there. Yeah, it's
because
like
they're not
there's.
real.
Yeah, I would say they're not real. Yeah.
No, but because they're not real, we can highlight stereotypes through them.
So he's showing part of his story, right? So.
Wait, whose story? James Cameron's story or
Yeah.
Jake Sully's? James Cameron. So you're saying?
Yeah, it's James Cameron who made this story.
So you're saying that James Cameron is demonstrating what he believes Indigenous people are like. So he's just showing his cultural
world, yeah.
ignorance.
In his world,
for sure.
Yeah.
So he believes all Hawaiians talk like brada. They do totally. You can see those points.
Yeah.
But it's like you didn't follow. It's almost like used any reason to highlight an Indigenous thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like his kids being Hawaiian made no sense to me. And they were like not even like I even looked at because I saw it on Instagram the girl, the youngest girl, she's like Asian or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like Took.
Oh yeah, the little girl, yeah.
Right. So did you just pick Indigenous actors? They're like, that'll be fine. You're Navi anyway. So like obviously black Zoe Saldana and a white Jake Sully can make a Hawaiian baby, is what you're telling me, James Cameron.
Right, a Navi baby.
A Hawaiian Navi baby. Yeah.
Right.
No, they're Navi, totally, but they're demonstrating Hawaiian stereotypes, even though Zoe Saldana's black and Jake Sully's white.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't even like it would have made more sense if they just acted more like Zoe Saldana or Jake Sully.
Mm-hmm.
But because they were like demonstrating Hawaiian stereotypes, it's like I don't get why you did like to show your solidarity with indigenous people. Like I actually don't know why you chose that direction. Like sure you could say in their world they pop out and talk like brada and insane brah.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe, but it's almost rude. Like watching it, I was like, that's kind of rude.
Okay.
You know. But or no, you disagree.
I didn't feel that.
No, but right, because you were stuck on like the interaction of the people. I was observing it like how are you depicting these people to us?
Sure.
Like Black Panther, right? Like it was empowering. To watch Black Panther was empowering.
Mm-hmm.
Like black people are strong. They're like they come from a lineage, right? And this was just like an annoying like Hawaiian kid. Like the kid was annoying to me. The youngest one. Not the baby, the younger brother.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Thoughts on that? No?
No, I didn't feel those.
Or now that I've said it, do you have any thoughts on that? Like, do you agree? Do you disagree?
I think it's, I wouldn't say like a stereotypes. I just feel like it's inspiration.
But I don't understand what you mean by inspiration. Like, what do you mean?
Like these are things that you like, right? And you're showing them in these characters. Like we'll go into the Maori thing.
Okay, let's go to the Maori. Okay. So at no point did they demonstrate any Maori tendencies, that tribe. They were like a very strong, like, yeah, of course they felt like a strong water tribe, for sure. But then all of a sudden when they talked about like war, they just like snapped into Maori mode. And then they were sticking out their tongues. They were like shouting like the haka.
Right.
They were doing the haka.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was like, okay, you only, it all felt like this to me. It felt like, hey, this is what indigenous people do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It was like that. It was like, yeah, we're trying to tell a story. Oh, indigenous people do this. From an outside perspective, it wasn't like Ryan Coogler made Black Panther, so he ensured that the representation, like, it was empowering.
Yeah.
It was
right
to empower the people. It was more like, look, guys do that. You know, it almost be like, um I don't know. There's so many racist things like the Chinese like eye
Yeah, yeah,
thing,
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
like it was almost like that. It was like,
Right,
hey, you guys
right,
do that thing,
right.
because
Hmm.
you didn't highlight it the whole time and were like Maori people are strong, blah blah blah. It was like, oh, you guys do that haka, right?
Right,
I throw that in there.
right.
Oh, you guys go brother, right?
Hmm.
You throw that in there.
Right.
That's why I felt like it was racist. Not Yeah, it was racist. I
Sure.
felt like it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like culturally insensitive. And then the next day when Wob sent that post about like people are boycotting, I was like, okay, I wasn't the only one that
Hmm.
saw that,
Yeah. When
because I felt
that I
it
think
too.
I felt that happened in the first one too, right?
What do you mean?
I remember seeing that kind of same kind of scenario for the first movie.
But not as outright as this one. This one was like very like in
No,
the
no, I'm saying
first one.
like I'm saying about the boycott thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't
I,
know.
I remember
Yeah, it was
something
like a
like
long time
that.
ago.
Yeah, I remember something like that at that time too, because it was like it's about the Native Indian stuff, right? Anyway, like talking about the Maori thing, because I was because you see that on TikTok too. It's like, oh, this looks familiar, and then I'm looking at the comments, and a lot of them were like,
Wait, what do you mean this looks familiar?
oh, like the Maori thing, like matching it
Like
to
what I
like
said? Like,
yeah, yeah,
oh yeah, yeah.
like the
Okay, okay.
Maori what they showed in the movie,
Yeah.
and then showing the real Maori. Oh, this looks familiar. And then a lot of the people in the comments, or like some of the people in the comments who are Maori, is like, oh, I like seeing that.
For sure. So
So I
okay,
feel like
okay,
it would be up to them to decide if they feel like they were misrepresented or not.
right. That's okay, right. But you were highlighting a thing. It's sort of like this. If the prime minister, like Justin Trudeau, he says like "thank you" in Filipino, like, oh, that's cool. You said that. That's how that, when you're like, oh, I like that. Like, that's cool that
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
us,
Yeah.
right? For sure, for sure. But it's like a nod to you,
Right.
right? Like an acknowledgement. If it was just that. But if you look at all of the times that it was just like odd cultural highlights in the context of the whole thing, it felt like you were just highlighting stereotypes. It would be all right. So, because I'm Filipino, so I'll just stereotype myself. So it would be like if they were like eating lots of rice.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, that's a damn stereotype, bro.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you see what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
I see what
that.
you
It's
mean.
like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you didn't highlight the finer points of our culture.
Mm-hmm.
That you didn't highlight the hospitality. You didn't highlight the familial aspect. You just
Mm-hmm.
highlighted the fact that we eat a lot of rice. And that's how the movie felt to me. It's like you're just highlighting the fact that we haka. You're just highlighting the fact that we use like slang terms like insane for
Mm-hmm.
surfers. As a whole, you weren't like celebrating the culture. You were highlighting differences within that culture compared to your own,
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
No, I see what you're saying.
And
Yeah.
right, you see what I mean now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what was off-putting for me,
Right.
because it was like it wasn't a celebration of the culture, it was a pointing fingers at the culture.
Yeah, because I think it would be hard to celebrate without actually making them Maori,
Making it
right? Because they're not
making the
Maori.
Maori.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, wait, no. All right, so I assumed what you were gonna say. What I was gonna say was I think like they weren't Maori, but if they were Maori, sure, like you just went with
They're elements
that
of
culture,
Maori. Yeah. Yeah.
right? But he didn't highlight elements of Maori. He just highlighted one thing. Like the whole time, I wasn't like, oh, they're Maori. It was just until they did the haka. I'm like, oh, you stole that. All right, cool.
I didn't
You're
even
highlighting that.
that didn't even come to my mind though, actually.
But because you were so enthralled with the world,
Yeah,
but
because
I
I
wasn't
didn't
enthralled
view
with the world.
them. Yeah, I didn't connect them to Maori or anything like that. I just connected them as that tribe.
Right. Right. No, no. Right. But because you were sold on the world.
Mm-hmm.
So it like, it's like going back to the Gentleman movie.
Yeah.
You'd pick up on things that I would have never highlighted on because I'm just enamored with the world.
Mm-hmm.
I fell in love with it. So it's like rose colored glasses. What I'm doing is like, this is what I saw because I didn't have the rose colored glasses. I didn't like the movie.
For sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. So like I'm picking it apart more. And the reason why you didn't see it is because like you're like, who cares about that? Like, look how sick this is.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. But like after the fact now that I'm like highlighting these points to you, you see my point, right? Like
No, no,
it was kind of pointing fingers.
I didn't feel like it was. I see what you're saying.
No, but
but
you
I
can't say
didn't.
that. Right.
No, I
You didn't feel
see.
it because you were enthralled.
Yeah, yeah,
You were
yeah. I
enamored
didn't.
by
That's
the
why I
world.
didn't feel like they were pointing fingers. I felt like it was just highlighting things that, that
Right.
culture is similar to. Yeah.
But that's because you liked the world already. You were like,
Yeah.
I'm buying what you're selling,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, I didn't buy it yet.
Okay.
So, right, but
Mhm.
discussing it like this, you see my points as to why I'm like,
I can see how they can view that. Yeah. View it
Right.
like that. Sure.
right, and I think, but that's why I'm like, you didn't have a problem with those things only because you loved it already.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
But I didn't love. But so all right. So for me, these are the points why I didn't like it.
Sure.
Because for me, it felt like almost like a slap in the face to like indigenous people. Like,
Okay.
it's like, why are you?
Oh, you're like totally gone.
Oh,
Like
oh,
the image is fully, but I can still hear you. Oddly.
oh, that's weird. Okay, just wait, man. We really got. I gotta buy a wire for this. Sorry, whoever's listening to this.
It's not.
As long as you hear me,
I can hear you.
I'm not even back.
But yeah.
Okay, cool.
You're,
Yeah. I'll pick up a wire. But anyways, so that's why, to me, this movie, like, I feel like you should still
you're back.
watch it.
hmm
Okay, cool. So to me, I feel like you should still watch the movie because it's a
Oh.
spectacle.
Mm.
Because it's like Disney, you know, it's like a Marvel movie. It's like, yeah, definitely watch that Marvel movie. But I wouldn't say it was something I really liked. I didn't like it. I just think you should watch it to be a part of the cultural zeitgeist.
Sure.
Like to understand what people are talking about, like avatars. Like,
Right,
you don't want to be
right,
the only person that's like, what's an avatar?
Mhm.
You know, like, right? Like I like Avengers, Thor, like all those things. You didn't need to watch them. Like, was it? I think France hasn't watched any Marvel movies because he just got bored.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
now when we talk about Marvel movies, it's like you're out of the loop.
hmm
So you're not a part of the cultural zeitgeist. So I think you should watch Avatar to be a part of the cultural zeitgeist, but not because it's a good movie.
hmm
You see my point?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what else? I had a bunch of other notes here. Anything else about the movie you want to highlight while I read these?
Oh, did you catch the different frame rates?
No.
Really?
No. I like, what do you mean? Like, it was faster, slower?
Yeah. At the action scenes, the frame rate was different.
How did you catch that?
What?
I did not catch. What do you mean? Like, what, they sped up or slowed down?
So at a lot of the action scenes, it was at 48 frames per second, and the other stuff is the normal film, like 24
Okay.
frames per second. You didn't catch that?
So,
I
No.
saw that. So that's the only thing that I would feel like that I would knock it on is noticing the difference. Because it's kind of like, oh, I noticed the
wait,
difference.
what?
Yeah.
But how? Like, just the speed of the.
Yeah. So like,
what was it?
it's the speed of how, like, just 48 frames per second, like how smooth it was moving. Like in
Interesting.
the action scenes, I could see how smooth it was moving, but being able to catch the differences, I think it's like in the beginning when I saw it, I was like, I'm noticing it, and then I tried to just like okay, I was like, just let it play it out, and like if I I don't want to keep thinking about it, like, but I kept like noticing the difference.
Oh, interesting. No, I did not catch that at all.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. Oh, maybe it was like the three. No, it wasn't even the 3D because you were also in 3D. I don't know. I didn't catch that at all.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I almost gotta. I feel like I would want to watch it not in 3D. I feel like 3D took away from the movie.
I
It was
I
like-
don't think I did for me.
Really?
Yeah. No. It was more the like. It just kept making me like think about the 48 frames per second. 48 frames per second every time I saw it.
Oh, weird. No, I did not catch that.
I think
at all. That's so funny.
I think if you've you've played with video games on different frame rates, like seeing the differences.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's
So,
how you
okay,
can pick
that's
it
why
up.
you would.
Yeah.
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 That makes sense. Yeah. Because my eye was not accustomed to. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, if you're playing like a higher frame rate video game, smoother
hmm
than lower frame rate,
You
right?
you can notice. Yeah. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
noticed it whenever they were changing, and it mainly only happened during the action scenes.
Oh, I think I did notice that, but I just assumed it was the 3D.
No.
Because
That's the frame rate. Yeah.
okay, yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Because I did notice that, like when they're doing that, I was like, oh, this is kind of weird. But that's why I said I think I should watch it not in 3D. Because I was like, I just thought the 3D was throwing me off. So yeah, maybe
I
it wasn't
knew
the 3D. It was
I
just
knew
the
about the
rate.
frame rate too before. So
Oh, so you're looking for it.
yeah, that was like one of the things in some guy's review. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you're primed. You were like, but if you hadn't
But
seen
I
it
knew, but it
beforehand.
was like also like I kept noticing it whenever it happened, right? Versus
Right. And so maybe I did notice it because I was like, I shouldn't watch this in 3D. It's kind of weird. Like there was something off about it.
mhm.
Yeah.
I think the last time they used something like that was in The Hobbit. Do you remember that?
No.
The first Hobbit one had the 48 frames.
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's
heard
interesting.
also I was watching something where like some of the cameras or what do you call it? Whatever the projectors in Japan were like breaking. They had
Oh,
to
really?
yeah, that they had to actually in some of them they had to actually show them in lower res.
Oh, wow.
They had to
That's
drop.
interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
The technology
Yeah,
was too
like
much for
there's
them.
that's why we waited 12 years, bro. So like but the technology didn't catch up after the 12 years. Oh, that's weird. Like you build it to such a high degree.
No, it's their
Like
projectors. The cinema
I know.
projectors couldn't handle it.
Yeah. It's
Mhm.
like, why would you build something beyond the capability of a cinema projector? That's kind of weird. Yeah. One, actually, wait, before we continue,
Did you catch
I
that
just
one
remember
thing? I only noticed this after the fact.
what?
You know how the
Whoa.
whale had that one arm missing or the one fin,
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah.
and then he cut off the other guy's arm. I didn't catch that as a
How the other guy's arm? What do
the
you mean?
harpoon guy.
Walk it back. What happened in the scene?
So I didn't catch in the sense that because his fin was gone, he cut off his arm.
Oh no, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I didn't catch that till TikTok.
It's the
Arm for an arm.
eye for an eye, bro.
So arm for an arm.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah, see, there's so many like subtleties. I like
That's why I
again,
liked
it's
it.
like
Yeah, catching these other things.
you're trying to be so deep in it. Like or maybe that's what it was for me. It was like you threw me off with the indigenous thing, and I just couldn't jump back on board after.
Yeah, maybe that's
Like
probably what happened.
I
Yeah,
couldn't, right? Like
yeah.
I couldn't even see the finer points. I was just annoyed by this one thing.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So I was gonna say that one thing that your brother pointed out. I just wanted to circle back on like last week's podcast was it. I was saying that it's white saviorism, right? Because like, why did colonial need to save the indigenous? Remember that?
Yeah. Mhm.
Right. But he corrected me, and I was like, you're right, because he wasn't saving the indigenous. They were already okay. He was solving the problem that the colonials had created.
Ah, true.
He was solving his own problem. They came, right? I was like,
Right.
okay, fair.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's technically not white saviorism.
that's true. That's
Like,
true. That makes sense,
right.
actually. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I gotta cut that clip up just for him. Like a retraction on because it's not white saviorism. It's just cleaning up your mess.
Right,
That's what
right.
that was.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing I was looking at my notes, the thing that I thought was really cool at the end of oh dang, we got 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't think
We should be okay.
we'll just push it. Yeah, we should be okay. So one thing that I thought was really cool was um, you know how they were in the army? So the way he almost killed the bad guy, you know, the final fight scene?
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So the bad guy was doing a leg scissor on Jake Sully,
Uh huh.
and then Jake Sully did a rear naked choke,
Okay.
right? And I was like, well, one, that's really cool that jujitsu has permeated like cultural,
Mm-hmm.
you know, consciousness. Like jujitsu is just a thing now. But two, when you're talking about subtle levels, um, the Gracie combatives, where those two moves came from, were taught to the U.S. military. So of course they would know
Mm.
how to do those moves. I was like, that's pretty cool. Like
Interesting.
that's why their grappling was like that.
So it's another high
Because the
level.
yeah, it's a thing. Like
That's a high
it's
level. That's you gotta already know that stuff though.
yeah, you gotta know that stuff. It's like so like the Gracies taught the U.S. military their combative system,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the bad guy was from we can assume the military of the US. So them using those two moves in particular were like a nod to their actual training. So it's realistic.
Right.
They didn't just throw that in there to throw that in there. I thought that was cool. Yeah. Um, what else? Oh yeah, okay. So France did say that we could have cut down this movie by 20 minutes. And I was like, obviously, from your perspective, no, you want to spend as much time in the world as possible. But for me, I was kind of like, there were a lot of scenes where it's like, I get you want to show me the world, but it was just like, you could have cut those out, you know? Like,
Where
it felt
specifically
like
though? I didn't feel that
the water
necessarily.
scenes, the water scenes, like, just the unnecessary dives, watching them like swim around. Like it just like they really wanted to highlight the water aspect,
Mm-hmm.
and I get that, right? But it did feel like you could have made this less than 3 hours and
I feel
23
like
minutes.
he probably gave like a 7 hour cut that he had to cut down to 3 hours.
Oh, okay, fair, probably. Yeah, I feel that too.
Because I was saying like there's so many more like behind the scenes for the first movie that they're like I've seen like now clips of it that where the CG is not even completed, right? So they're just
Oh, I see. Like he overfilmed.
oh yeah.
Okay, fair. Yeah. Well, one
But
thing
again,
to
it's like
his
it's like I don't know what his actual cut was. Like I think we're gonna get another like director's cut of this. That'll probably be
that'd be
like
kind of cool. Like,
4 hours.
yeah, that'd be great for you. You just spend
That
more
would be
time in the
great for me.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I
But
don't know.
at least I don't have to
What's
wait
it?
like 13 years for the third movie though.
I know, right? Yeah, it's next year. So, I mean, I'm
I
gonna
think it's
watch it
two
too.
years actually.
Oh, really? I thought it was like the end of
I think it's at
2023.
2024. We can double
Oh,
check
okay,
that.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Um, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna watch it regardless because you know, it's a cultural, zeitgeist thing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to check it out. But to his credit, it didn't feel like 3.5 hours to me. Like I didn't feel the time. I did
I
not
did
feel the
not. I
time.
didn't feel the time at all.
I felt the repetitiveness though, in that
Mm-hmm.
why did you keep capturing and letting go of the kids? Like the same thing happened over and over. Like even the little girl too was like, "Oh no, I'm captured again." It's like, yeah, bro. Like
Yeah.
you just can't think about it. They were captured 3 times during that movie and
Mm-hmm.
then released by Jake Sully.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it felt repetitive, but it wasn't drag like I'm assuming. Like, I didn't feel like it
I didn't feel
was
any drag. Yeah.
too long.
Right. Right.
But I did feel like, yeah, like to Fran's point, like you could have cut 20 minutes out. It's like, yeah, you could have, like, I wouldn't have felt bad if you took out 20 minutes from that movie for me,
Sure.
you know? Yeah. The pacing was good. You definitely won't feel bored. The world was definitely like real. Like it was a living world.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't get over
There was
the
another thing that I
cultural
liked that
stuff.
I saw noticed. was like it started with his first son's birth and his first son's death.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, like full circle,
Yeah.
life and death.
And that was like the main message too.
There were finer points in that. Like one thing he said was like, all energy is only borrowed. You have to give it back eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're great tenets in this movie. I just can't get over the cultural stuff for me.
Yeah.
It's just
No,
like,
that's why I liked it that much, right? So
yeah,
like I didn't know if he could get me back into that world, and he did.
yeah. If you go back to Pie, we were both meh. We'll go watch it.
Yeah. Like I think it was more than the first movie for me. Like how much, like he got me into the world in the first one.
For sure.
But
No,
I think
but
this
the
one-
difference is,
Yeah.
the difference is that the first one was novel. So, yeah, he got you more into the world for this one, but it didn't feel new.
No,
It was more,
for this one.
yeah,
No, for me it felt. Sorry, go ahead.
new.
For this one, the second movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think when like in the like I was saying earlier, like the beginning of the movie was just reminds me of the first one, and if it was only that throughout the movie, like only the forest thing, I don't think it would have worked
But because they went to the water,
because they
place.
had to go to the water place.
But what do you mean by new though?
Just a new
Like,
new
landscape,
people, new
environment. It's like
landscape.
we get to learn. Yeah.
Yeah. Their culture, they're having tails or fins.
You know, it's like it's almost like it was trying to be like a Lord of the Rings. Like,
Yeah. Like the
you mean,
different
like this, yeah,
types
like
of
there's the
people,
Hulk
how
people,
they,
there's the
yeah,
elves.
yeah.
But I don't know. I felt like it. Even on that point, it's like that's another thing that felt like I've been here before. Like the Lord of the Rings has done this. Like we've seen different types of.
No, but yeah, that's
Like,
a different story, right? So that's why I'm like seeing the way that the water people were like, right? They don't look exactly like you, like the tree people,
Yeah, for sure.
right? Seeing that, seeing how they, as the people evolved, right? Having fins instead of a tail,
And they're like thicker instead of the
on
Na'vi
in
who
the
are, like,
arms.
thinner.
Yeah. We're more agile, right? For tree running around, hopping around.
Okay. I all right. I'm gonna summarize it like this. It was like he wanted to go back in the world, and he was like, "What's the best way? What's the easiest way for us to get back in the world?"
Right. I think he
And
said that too, where the writers, I don't know if I mentioned that to you, like that, like study the first film. What worked? What was the thing that made people get into it? And those are the
okay,
pieces he brought into this movie.
so maybe that's why I felt like it was a rehashing of the first one, because it was like, now that you say that, it's like,
Yeah.
I
No.
think you did say that before.
Yeah. It's not like
But
it's not rehashing. I feel like what were those elements that worked, and bringing it, but into this new tribe.
right, but it wasn't.
Because
It,
like all the way, like I remember in the first scenes up to like when they left, everything was the same as the first movie. Them fighting them or breaking the like crashing the train and getting their weapons. That felt like if that was what was going to happen, that's just the same movie as the first one.
okay, yeah,
So this,
but that's like literally the exact same story. Like that's the exact same element.
yeah. So the element may be the same, but you've put them in a different environment, and he's got a whole family to deal with. Like let's focus on that. That's what was different.
Right. So to me, it felt like you're just giving us any reason to go back into that world.
Hmm.
It was like, you guys love this, eh? All right, let me give you a little.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. It wasn't like. It wasn't like.
Like he got me into the world, but that's why he made me care for the characters. I think that's what's different.
Okay, but caring for the characters is still a part of the world. Like that's a part of the world. Like that's the relationships you
Yeah.
build.
If you
That's things you
couldn't,
learn about the culture.
if he couldn't convince me to care for the kids, then it wouldn't be like I wouldn't have loved it as much.
Okay. So this is okay. So the differences here are if you look at Pirates of the Caribbean. Okay, that I don't know if you remember the movie, but that's probably one of my favorite trilogy movies of all time. The reason why is because everything fed back to every movie. Everything was tied in.
Mm-hmm.
Like in movie one, a lot was tied in. Movie two was a lot was tied in from movie one, and then movie three it tied two and three together. Like the story was so intricately woven,
Yeah.
right? But and that's like, let me tell a good story. You'll get the world, but let me tell a good story. Whereas this more like less on the story and more on people want some of this. I'll give you a little more of it.
There's a difference here is because they planned out the movie. This was, I think, the first Avatar was just that was all it was going to be.
Standalone.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
That's why I feel like
that's
why I feel like now the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever he's got, that's what he
planned
out. Oh my God,
he's gonna make 6. Wow, he's gonna make 6.
I don't know. I'm just saying. No. I think that he has. All depends on how well these. I think that he has the stories for like 5 or 6. But it all depends on how well this movie does. And if this movie does well, they'll probably greenlit a few more. If this movie doesn't do well, they'll have to wrap it up in the next movie.
Okay, so you see my point then, where it's like story versus spectacle.
Yeah, so that's why I feel like he has the story for the 6. He planned out for 6.
Right. Totally. But what I'm saying is to go back to the whole beginning of this conversation regarding Avatar 2 is I feel like you liked the world versus the story. Because like my example with Pirates of the Caribbean, I was like, the story's so intricate, and you're like, but it's because they wrote all 3, right? But to me, this felt like just a rehashing of something we all wanted. We all loved the Avatar world, so we wanted to learn more about it. So he's like, sure, here you go.
Yeah, no, I think it's like, because of the characters. I want to continue with the characters, right? That's because it starts with the kids now.
For sure. But that's not that'd be kind of cool, actually. You see like their story arc. But all right, let's not get into that. But
because I think that's what he's doing. It's the focus was the kids in this movie. The focus was not about Jake.
Right.
The focus was the kids because those are the ones who are pushing forward the story.
Okay, so theoretically, if 2 and 3 have interwoven stories, I might like it then. But this is a standalone, like with what it has so far, it's just I felt like the story's like lacking. For the reason that it almost ignored the first movie. Like the only thing from the first movie that was kept was that Jake was once a military person.
Mm-hmm.
I guess like the daughter being from the tree, but those were not like.
So there's a lot of questions that I want to know, like what happens next to her, what does she have, like what is her connection with Awa?
Sure.
That's the continuation.
Okay, so you're thinking this is like a starting point movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I could see that. Okay, yeah. If this was like, forget the first movie, this is where we're starting from.
Yeah.
And then we're going to build forward.
So you just need the first movie as a prequel because this is how he got onto Earth. And this is
Pandora.
Yeah, or how. Yeah, I'm saying the first Avatar was like how Jake got to Earth, and this is their story. Now it's all about the kids. This is the story of the kids.
I meant Pandora, not Earth.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, well, okay. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. If you look at it like that, like
that's why I liked it because it got me into the kids. If it didn't make me connect to the kids, because that was the main story. It was only about them.
Okay, fair. I see where you're coming from with that, and I agree. But that's under the assumption that the next movie is going to be sick. You see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, of course. Yeah, we don't know how the next movie is going to be like, right?
right, but what I'm saying is I'm judging this from this movie alone. And I'm
Oh,
like,
yes, exactly. This movie really
yeah,
got me into it. That's why I'm excited to see the next one.
for sure, because the world was set. I'm saying like looking at this as a standalone movie, or not even standalone because they had a first movie. I didn't think it was good, like story wise. But I get what you're saying. If you build upon what you already have with these characters, it has the potential. Like you have a potential to be great, right?
Hmm.
Because you like the kids. You're
Yeah.
like, where is he gonna take the kids? I can't wait to see more of this. Like, there's a lot of potential in this foundation.
Did you catch? I caught this throughout the movie. A lot of the stuff that James Cameron had done before was kind of in it.
No,
Like when the Earth people came to Pandora, like I was just like burning everything. It kind of reminded me of uh um Terminator, like like the fire,
oh,
and then
interesting.
when the boat flipped and Zoe Saldana's character was under the ship Titanic.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, these aren't good points though for me because then it's like, but you're just giving me what I already know
Yeah,
you
these are all
can
the
do.
things that he did really good at, right? So he's bringing them into this movie, all putting it all together.
But then isn't that just more of like the rehashing of what we've already been given? It's like we know this formula works, guys. Here is this. It's like Marvel, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
You guys want some big action, you want blah blah blah. It's
It
it
got me. That's what I'm
just
saying. It
didn't
got
stand
me.
out. No,
That's fine.
it
Yeah,
got you,
yeah.
but it got you again because you love the world, the characters, the people, the interaction. But like, I don't think that this lived up to the hype of what the expectation would be for Avatar
Hmm.
2 compared to what Avatar 1 was.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any other things? How long are we at for the
1 hour
podcast?
30.
Oh my god. All right, we gotta end this. Okay. Yeah, any final things about that before we just end it?
Um, no, I really really liked it. Really well done.
Yeah, I really didn't like it. For
But
the
that's
for the
that's
other.
that's that's how it works, right? Like you liked the Black Panther. I fell asleep.
Yeah, true. Was there one that we both agreed on that was like amazing? That we have.
Of course we have. Yeah.
But
Oh, Top
what
Gun.
one? That was amazing. The story was so basic though.
But I think that's
That
what made
wasn't a
it
good
sick.
movie. Like that. Yeah, yeah. That
That
wasn't
was
a. Okay. No. This is the thing. This is the thing. Okay, this great example for Top Gun because my sister said that too. Top
mm,
Gun. So Top Gun story was not good, but technologically, the way they filmed that thing with actual fighter jet filming and like cameras in the
yep,
cockpit,
yep,
you felt that.
hmm,
And that was
yep,
revolutionary. To me, that's changing the game going forward.
hmm,
Whereas Avatar did not do that. Avatar 2 did not do that.
hmm,
Avatar 1, yes. But that's what I mean. That was the feeling that wasn't there. Like you promised me something that I didn't get. This
yep,
story wise was trash on uh Maverick,
hmm,
Top Gun. But the spectacle was so like the technology was so phenomenal. Like anybody who watched that movie felt the adrenaline,
right,
you know.
yeah,
But that's what I didn't get for the movie. I didn't get any wow. It was just like a rehashing of what we've already done. But that's like why I didn't like it, you know.
hmm,
One of the reasons why I didn't like
sure.
it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. All right. Till next time. Yeah. Take it easy. I don't know. I kind of feel like we should almost do one more this week, but I'll see how you feel, podcast wise. Like if you want to do one,
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. because I have like other topics. So we just like wanted to get this one. I just didn't want to forget because we were.
Yeah, there's so much. It's 3 hours. We're gonna. I'm bound to forget it. I'm like because I've been seeing.
It's not fresh in our mind.
Yeah, because I've been seeing the clips. People have been posting clips of it that you're not supposed to be posting on TikTok. So it kind of helps keep the memory a little bit.
Yeah, but if we had waited till Saturday, I was like, oh, there's no way we're gonna remember.
Yeah, no, it would have, the algorithm would have probably already stopped for that. Going to something new.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot has happened. But if we do a podcast this weekend, we should definitely talk about these things because there's a bunch of interesting things that happened this week. But yeah, all right, till next time. Cheers, Vish.
Peace.
Bye. Bye. All right, hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all those fun things, and check out our sponsors, Zenro Clothing Co., Portian Bakery, and Podbean. Take it easy, Vish.
Peace.